Hey, Wyoming Cowboys here. It is your two favorite strength coaches, as long as some special guests here today, Coach Oldham and Coach King. The two ladies to my left here need no introduction at all. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Coach King here. Coach King, how are things going on your end? What's new in your world a week from the last time we recorded an episode?
Hey, buddy. Haley, hey, Allie. Really appreciate you guys joining us. I mean, let's be honest, not too much is new. Um, After last week when we talked, everyone's still kind of, hold up at home, and I hope that everyone's still getting their workouts in. We touched on a lot of stuff about that last week and where you can find them. So please, if you have any questions, let us know. I do want to just have a quick shout out and say, I think you guys will join me in saying it. Thank you to all the seniors. I know we all just found out that spring sports are done. School is done. So just thank you to all the seniors. You really left a great impact on all of us as coaches, as athletic trainers, and really paved the way for the underclassmen and the juniors coming up to really be successful going into the fall season.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. Thank you to all of them. I know that over my 4 or 5 years here, it's just a different group that's kind of left us this year. They're going to be greatly missed. So without further ado, we wanted to invite the two best athletic trainers in the city here on this virtual podcast that we do. I wanted to kind of kick it off and say, how are you guys doing? What's new on your home front? I guess we'll start with Allie first. Kind of tell us, how you're doing, how you're holding up.
Just trying to stay busy. I am chasing Sam around. He is full-blown toddler now. So just, he's at home with me all day long. So no daycare, just keeping him busy. And, Zach, my husband, does the whole firefighting EMT stuff. So he's definitely on the front lines and seeing it all. And we just hope, enjoy the days that he's off. But spending a lot of time at home, unfortunately. Just trying to reach out with friends, and then all my athletes, coaches, Mrs. Wilking, talk to a lot of Wyoming people at least, once or twice a day.
Awesome. Good to hear. Haley?
Trying to stay busy as well. Unlike Allie, I don't have any kids to keep me busy. So, and my fiance is still working. So he goes upstairs and works for 8 hours of the day. So I got 8 hours of the day to myself, which some days flies by and some days is a long time. I'm sure everybody is also wondering, in the Wyoming world, we did not end up being able to have our wedding. We're supposed to get married on March 28th. Obviously, didn't happen. But we were officially married a couple weekends ago, the Saturday before Easter, in a very small private ceremony with just our parents and our siblings. So right now we're legally, taken care of, and we've postponed our big date and big celebration until September. So we just wanted to make sure that even if we get to September and this is all still going on, that everything was taken care of and that we were officially married for now.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was
awesome.
really, really strange, we got ready together that day, left the house together that day.
And it's weird.
Yeah. And then, you leave and it's we already lived together and stuff. So it's not really much different day to day, but on paper, it's official.
That's great. That's great.
Big congratulations to you two. I'm sure everybody's going to be happy to hear that update. You guys have kind of mentioned it. You guys have been talking to some of your athletes. We've been talking to them as much as we can. We wanted to kind of, first see, some of the challenges you guys may be hearing, you may be seeing from athletes, if you're getting some videos of how you might be modifying. I think the first topic that we wanted to cover was kind of recovery. So I think how we're going to do this is just kind of break it down. We'll let one of you go first, and then kind of say how you would handle some recovery things that we want to work on, and then we'll drop down to the next person. So we'll go in reverse order this way. Haley, kind of kick us off. What are some recovery tips and tricks that you may give the kids right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want everybody to remember right now to be stretching. That is huge when it comes to recovery. And just because we're not having organized lift and strength and conditioning right now where you guys force them to stretch a few times a week, everybody still needs to remember the importance of that, because we always go through those growing pains at the beginning of the season. So if our season isn't going to start until August, we got a lot of time to gain some flexibility, everyone. So let's hope you all are stretching and hydrating. Don't forget to hydrate as well. Also, I think just keeping a regular schedule as much as you can, making sure you're waking up at certain times, or in a certain range each day, and kind of going to bed in a certain range each day. It doesn't have to be as strict as if you're in school and, 10 p.m. bedtime and you're waking up at 6:45, but, just kind of trying to keep it as normal and regulated as you can, because that's all going to help your body to recoup and keep it, working like normal.
Awesome. Allie?
Yeah, I've gotten so many texts of people needing stretches that I feel like my photo album is just all these random stretches that I've pulled up on Google. But yeah, so that's a good sign that everyone is wanting to stretch. My biggest thing too is mix it up. So I've been still running. I was supposed to run the Flying Pig half marathon. That's obviously out the door right now. So just mix it up. One day you're doing advanced cardio, or sometimes you're doing the strength workouts on certain days. Do something different, something that you don't typically do, because just doing the same thing every day is what's going to cause those chronic injuries. So if it's even going to a park to do your run instead of around the streets of Wyoming, just something different. And even with our football players who are doing the big weights and stuff like that, do something different. I've seen so many kids out doing different things for their parents. And I was running one day and saw Chris Guest pulling out these big bushes outside of his parents' house. So
He told me about
even
that.
just something silly like that, it gives your body a chance to do something different and recover, but you're still being active. So I think that's along with what Haley said, that's key.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I touched on last week was, this is a chance to kind of do those things that you're not comfortable doing without an audience. So hearing you two kind of back me on that is just, give it a try. I do not do abs very often, but now that I'm injured a little bit, I'm doing them a lot more. So I'm doing something where no one else can see me struggle. So as long as I'm getting that work in. Coach King, what's kind of the next topic that you were thinking that was kind of something we should hit on?
Yeah, I mean, I think and I'm really glad to hear that you guys have gotten a lot of athletes to reach out to you. I think what are some messages that you would have to some of the athletes that you have been seeing in the training room the most recently, and the most frequently that we know we have several that are probably still trying to heal, an ACL tear, still trying to heal some shoulder problems. Just a couple quick tips, resources, icing, ice baths. What would you say to them to make sure they're still getting their work in?
I would say that just stay in touch. I think that's the biggest thing with us. We've lost that, easy day-to-day communication with them. And they were all given rehab programs that Friday before we left. And I try to stay in touch and make sure they're progressing well. Do they need something new? So don't just stick with that, the rehab sheet that I handed them when they walked out the door. We can make it harder. We can make it more challenging. We can always, rotate things as we need to. And if you were supposed to be seeing the doctor or things like that, the beacon is still seeing those kids. So make sure that either you're calling one of us or you're calling into Beacon to see that doctor, because we don't want your recovery or your clearance to be delayed when we're ready to roll. Which I've talked to a lot of kids that, at least they're getting in with their doctor or PT or whatever we need to do, since we can't be one-on-one with them. But I think, our frequent flyers should know that, they should be doing their stretches. They've got a somewhat rehab program, even if it's a maintenance type thing. Continue to ice, that never changes. And then, just stay in touch. We're, easy to get a hold of if something needed to be changed.
Mhm. I think the only thing I would add to that is just make sure you're holding yourself accountable.
Yes.
Good.
Stay up on that stuff. Just because we're not there to see you every day and stay on you every day doesn't mean that you can't do that for yourself. Right now, this is the time that you build and you make moves. So hold yourself accountable and really work to come back stronger and fix those things that were nagging, or make sure that you're coming back stronger after an ACL tear or whatever you may be dealing with.
Yeah, I think for
Awesome.
me, multiple times, I've had some chronic injuries that I never took care of early on. My knees still bother me every day, and I know that we have some athletes that consistently have some patellar tendonitis, some jumper's knee, Osgood Slaughter's. Making sure I hear it from you guys, the ice and the stretching and those prehab, right? So um, the prehab, and Haley and I had a long discussion about this one time, about kind of those small twitch movements that we need to make sure we're focusing on. So I think my next topic is, I can say it till I'm blue in the face, but maybe it might register if you say it. What are those prehab things that you want to make sure that these kids, our student athletes, are getting in right now?
You go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, I think you guys do a good job of coming to us and asking, all those small things that you guys have them do, clamshells, band walks. Those are all simple things that you can be doing at home. Even if you don't have bands and things, you can still recreate those things. Leg lifts, simple body weight things that you can be doing and focusing on those shorter, smaller motions and smaller stabilizing muscles.
Yeah, I think prehab is big for our female athletes, especially. This is a perfect time for you to be doing body weight and doing all great form, really working on your form, especially for our female athletes. Unfortunately, we had a rise in ACL tears this year, so I think we really need to hit home, especially with our females who are getting more active in the program, which is great. To get on those prehab exercises. They're on all the work that you guys sent out from Coach Zabo, so that's perfect. And just work on form, especially with the body weight. You have the time, take it. When have we ever had this much time to do things like this? So make sure you're looking in the mirror, doing things with correct form. If you have questions, reach out to Coach Oldham or Coach King. They'll be able to help assist you. But I think working on form is going to be the biggest prehab exercise for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And you can do simple things like record yourself.
Mhm.
Set your phone up. Everybody, we all know you all are connected to your phones. Set it up, record yourself, watch yourself over and over. Watch where your knees go when you're squatting, even if it is just body weight. Because if your knees are dropping in on just body weight, guess what they're doing when you have real weight on your back? Just look out for those small things. And like Ali said, if you don't know what those are, reach out to us. Any of us, we can help you.
Awesome. I wanted to touch on too, make sure, a lot of times what gets lost in, when we do the workouts, balance work. Do get really good at balance work. I've been trying to, I mentioned it in the last podcast and I talk about it a lot now, but like yoga, I mean, my fiance will show me up on some of these poses and I'm sitting there shaking and, trying to balance. And I think that once you realize how important that is when it comes to prehab, when it comes to, and just overall strength and athleticism. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure we touch on too. Make sure you're doing your balance wobbles, your balance touches. You need to have any questions about those, let us know.
With that, with your balancing, get your, like, if you play your sport with a ball, get your ball involved with that. So use the soccer ball, use the football, baseball. During our rehabs, we love to have people bounce and then throw the ball at them and have to catch it and really focus on two things at once. So that's a great idea, is just get involved with your sport, working on that balance for your prehab.
Yeah, I think we talked on that or touched on that a little bit. Just the fact of lateral work,
Yep.
doing things single leg, as well as, I told him, close your eyes and try and do your balance touches and see if you can do them. Make your mind think about where your body's physically moving to. I'm sure we'd have a lot of people falling over, but, I'm so glad that you guys brought that up. You touched on ice. and that icing is always huge. Can you give us some time frames of how long to ice? Break that down for them. I know you can read a million things on the internet, but I want to hear it from you guys. How long should I ice? How many times should I ice maybe per day? As well as what are some things at home that we could use, if we don't have necessarily an ice pack?
So typically if you're using regular ice pack, you're doing 20 minutes on, at least a half an hour. I always say you don't want the body part to feel cold anymore. It should warm back up before you apply it again. If you're doing like an ice bath or a tub for your ankle or foot, something like that, should be about 10 minutes. Depending on how much ice you put in. You can go up to 15, but no more than that. I always say the best ice pack is if you go buy a bag of frozen peas and use that, because it molds. You can just throw it back in. I mean, I would write on that like ice pack, don't eat. But I think that's like the easiest one. You don't have to worry about the ice cubes or anything like that. You can also use the ice packs that you buy at like CVS or things like that. But veggies are normally like $1 at Kroger, so go buy a couple bags or whatever. And then you can do ice cups. So if you take those Dixie cups, the paper Dixie cups, put water in them, throw them in the freezer, let them freeze, and take them out, tear the paper off, and you can rub that on the area. I always say you can do that for like 7 minutes. It's really good for shin splints, something that we're not able to do in the training room, but it'd be good for you to do at home.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Haley, you want to add to that?
No, I think she covered it all.
Gotcha. If you don't have the Dixie cups, maybe this is something I was using and I shouldn't have been, but I used old Gatorade caps and filled them up. And then filled them with water and popped them out that way.
That works.
That works too.
We didn't have Dixie cups.
Yeah.
So
what about if they do have access to an entire tub and they want to get an entire full body soak? How long would you recommend it? Like, we're not just soaking our foot, our entire whole body soaked for an ice bath.
What do you think, Haley?
I would say no longer than like 10 to 15 minutes at most.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think you could stand it for much longer than that anyways. It's your whole body.
If you're barely putting any ice in, I think 10 minutes is good.
Yeah.
I just remember we had a cold tub at OU, and I mean, when you would be in there between like 2 days and everything, nothing would feel better. But you're right. We had some guys that would try to be in there for like 20, 25 minutes. You want to be like, I think it's time probably to step out of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Once your body turns good and like red, you're good to go. Nothing longer than that.
And we might, and I've heard some athletes before saying, like, talking about taking ice baths. So it's like, let's make sure they know how long they want to actually be submerged in the entire, tub full of freezing water. What about, let me ask you this, on the aside from the ice side of things, what about any type of heat therapy? Do you recommend it? Do you want them to try to use some heating pads? Anything like that?
Go ahead, Haley.
Heating is better like before exercise. I like to tell people like that rule of thumb, because you get a lot of strains and aches and pains that people think, oh, well, it feels great when I put heat on it, but you're actually increasing your inflammation and stuff by doing that. So heat before exercise or before stretching, ice after. Ice is always fine. You can't do any damage with ice, but with heating, you can, like I said, bring more inflammation to the area, which just prolongs the issue, makes you more sore down the road. I think anybody who's like injured their back before probably has done the whole heating thing. Oh, it feels great when I've got heat on it or when I first take it off, but then you feel terrible, 30 minutes later, you're so much more stiff and uncomfortable. So use heat sparingly. It's good for some things. It's good, to warm your muscle and make you loose before you're going to exercise and before you're going to get moving. But really you can do that with just warming up too. You don't necessarily need the heat pack to do that. So that's another thing. Make sure you're warming up really well before stretching and exercising and things, because you don't have us with our heat packs right now.
Anything you'd add to that, Allie?
No, I mean, I agree. Use it sparingly. Use the heat. We typically only use heat, pre-practice or pre-event. So let's stick with that. Don't try and heat a new injury or, post-practice or post-workout.
Awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring that up, because we all know sometimes a heating pad does feel great, right? But that doesn't mean that you're actually getting better. So,
Right.
make sure we convey that message on when to use it and where. So awesome.
Gotcha. I had this question that was shot to me the other day, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but massage guns, these are the new latest craziest thing. And I was like, and I didn't know how to answer because I have one and I know the difference between my muscle and my
Of course
ligament.
you do.
My muscle and my ligament, and what I want to use it on and what I don't want to use it on. So someone said, how should I use it? And I was like, well, it doesn't come with a training manual of every muscle that you should use it on, right? So what are your thoughts on it? What, would you recommend it, not recommend it for an athlete of ours over at Wyoming?
I don't think you can't, you can recommend it. I would use it more as supplemental. So it's definitely good for your muscle tightness or if you have spasms. I think it's a good supplement to the stretching, foam rolling, things like that. I don't think they're great for a specific injury per se. I think it's more just muscle. You can use the gun or even a good old lacrosse ball. It's the same idea, just as long as we're using it in the muscle belly and using it as a supplement with something, not just, I'm going to use this gun to get warmed up. I don't know. We should still be doing the other things. It's just a supplement for those, tight areas or areas that you have, maybe some spasms in your calf or something like that.
Good.
Thank you. I think that covers it for me as far as questions. Coach King, I don't know if I missed anything as far as that goes.
I think that was good. I was going to ask you, buddy, how's your elbow doing? You're talking to the right people here. You said you got elbow injury.
So I wish I had some cupping or someone who could cup.
I was going to say, how much do you miss our cups right now?
Thank God I have a fantastic orthopedic doctor that's done a lot of my great surgeries and everything like that. She's able to squeeze me in tomorrow for some injections. Now, with that being said, I want all the athletes to know that I am way older and I am not moving around as much. This is so that I can get back to doing some yard work kind of thing. So for me, it's the getting in the injections is so that, I don't hurt as an old man as much. I do not recommend it, to all athletes. And I think both of you would recommend the same thing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
don't be like Coach Oldham.
Exactly. And I mentioned that on last week's podcast that, where I went to school, it was almost very much like if you were going in the training room, you were a tough guy, you were seen as weak. And I took that to the heart and, I'm paying the price down the road now. So keep seeing these two fantastic trainers, keep reaching out to them. They're always there. One of them has 8 hours by herself. So
yes, please fill my time throughout the day.
I guess the last thing we'll do before we kind of let you guys go is, anything you want to say to them, just to get your message across to them.
Go ahead, Haley.
We miss you all. I hope everybody knows that. We miss every one of you. And today, I think Allie will agree with me. Today was extra hard, knowing, I think we all knew in the back of our mind this is probably reality. What came down today with schools being done for the rest of the year and no spring sports. But knowing that this senior class is officially done and that Friday way back in March was our last actual physical day with you guys, it's hard to swallow. So this obviously isn't what any of us expected or wished for by any means, but the biggest thing that I want all of you to remember, especially you seniors, is you choose your own joy right now. You create it for yourself. And just because it feels like the world's crashing in on you, it's not. I promise there's bigger and better things that are coming down the road. Enjoy all this extra time with your parents before you all leave for college. I know that you think that you can't wait to get out, but you will miss them one day. Just soak it all in and make the best of it, because you won't have this much time doing absolutely nothing ever again in your entire life, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the same as Haley. I miss everyone so much. It's hard living in Wyoming and seeing everybody when I'm on my walks or my runs, and even at the grocery store. I feel like that first Sunday I ran into Mrs. Prater, Coach Rooks. I ran into everybody. It's hard. I keep telling Zach that I want to go home, and I think that's sad. I am home, but home for all of us is at school with all of the coaches, all of the kids. So I miss everybody. I know Sam misses everybody. He misses running around, getting all the attention. He's grown so much, it's crazy. I just hope that everyone is finding that thing that keeps them happy, staying busy, and just enjoying what you can. I know that's been a hard thing for me, to find something else that keeps me happy, keeps me busy. So you just have to find that one thing and just keep going, because at some point this is going to end. I know it will. And we'll be back to our quote normal.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
both of you, for saying that. I don't want to cut you off, Coach King, if you want to kind of touch on that as well.
No, I mean, I miss you guys all so much, and we really look forward to getting back as soon as we can. Like we all talked about before as well, with the seniors. Just again, thank you so much for everything you guys have done. Haley and Allie, can't thank you guys enough for joining us here tonight. Keep reaching out to them, guys. They're the best in the business. And if you have any questions workout-wise, reach out to myself or Coach O. And we look forward to next time and bringing whatever you need.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't have too much to say. You guys have all done a great job, so I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here. But thank you again to the seniors. I don't even know how to explain what that feeling must be like, seeing how I think all of us at least had our senior year at the sport that we loved. So that you can't put that into words, but thank you for everything you've done for us. As far as we are concerned, episode 2 is finished, and it'll be up on Twitter and YouTube in a couple hours. So until then,